Theater. And we are so excited because we've done this particular demonstration thing before. And people say, oh, wow, this is cool. It should be videotaped. But this is probably of all the places we work everywhere in the country, this is the best room. And Brett is the best.
Yay, I see guys.
For actually doing something like this, because there's 3 cameras and lots of mics and all kinds of cool things. But anyway, we kind of cut before we get started with this, we didn't kind of wrap up fully the CQI conversation, and there are a couple of things. First of all, I was listening as everybody went around the room, and I just couldn't help thinking, God, you guys make life hard for yourselves. I mean, God, you make life hard for yourselves. I mean, here we had this whole conversation in the morning about shrinking resources, and we're overwhelmed. And we give you guys this task, and you're supposed to pick one thing to work on. And most of you couldn't do it. You couldn't pick one thing to work on. You could only pick 5 or 9 or 27 or whatever. You just couldn't do it. And I mean, pay attention to that, because we're actually trying to give you some real ideas here about how to actually make progress. And part of this whole thing is to look at all the ways you are built to pressure yourselves and pressure the people you work with. So every one of you pretty much mentioned something about one of the reasons that it was hard for people to come back when they had complex needs is because the demands of the service system were too great. Okay? And I thought your frustration tolerance comment was brilliant, okay? And I didn't quite fully connect it, but I'm thinking, and these poor ladies are supposed to go to IOP? Well, no wonder they're frustrated. Why do they have to go to IOP? Well, because it says in the official Michigan Manual of IOP-ness, okay, no pun intended, that you have to show up for so many hours on so many days in order to get full credit. Why is that? Because it's written in the IOP Bible somewhere that 9 hours a week means that you will be successful. If you show up for 3 hours, it's bad. You have to feel bad that you're not going to IOP. Why? If we're trying to make things easy so people show up and succeed, can we take the pressure off them and us? And I was thinking about you guys, we were having that cool conversation about the kids and the grandma. And I started thinking, well, what the heck? Suppose they came for group and their kids were crawling all over the room. But then we couldn't cover the curriculum. Oh, good. Yeah, make sure we cover the curriculum so they don't come. Okay? I mean, oh no, but then somebody would ding us because we didn't cover the content. Wait a minute, they're sitting in the room with their kids, relating to each other, talking about stuff. How weird is that? Okay? What a concept. So, the thing that Stacy came up with at the end, there, which is, and this was the paperwork thing. Okay, think about that. The whole experience of the paperwork, you guys were relating this too. And the idea is, how do we help people feel like the paperwork is not so important that it makes them feel like they never want to show up again? We tell this story because it came from another system in Oklahoma. It was just one of these things. But, they had this team that was working on the perfect integrated assessment. Okay, and they had everybody coming together across the system, and they all came with their 6 or 8 page assessments, and when they all sat together, they managed to turn it into a 27-page assessment. And then they got worried, because unlike people from Michigan, who would think that 27, the biggest problem was it was probably too short because they left things out, they were actually worried that it might be too long. So, just kidding, guys. That actually happened to me in Michigan. Somebody gave me a 27-page assessment and I looked at it and I went, and they said, did we leave something out? I mean, really, that's what that actually happened. I won't say which county, but it wasn't here. But they went to the consumers, okay? representative consumer. They went to the group of consumers and said, so we have this 27-page assessment, and we're kind of worried, that you won't like it. And they said, well, the consumers looked at them and looked at the assessment, and they said, well, guys, we actually feel bad for you that you have to fill out all this paperwork, but we don't mind helping you fill out your paperwork. What really bugs us is we fill out all this paperwork and nobody ever listens to why we came in the first place. Okay? So the thing that you were conveying, the thing that you guys were trying to get at, is how do you make the fact that people are going through a paperwork intake process not lose the idea that the biggest message is we want you to feel welcomed and inspired, so you think that we really care about you and you come back? As opposed to, okay, we welcomed you at the front door with the pretty fish tank and the nice lobby, but now let's get down to the real work. Now you sit here and get tortured for 2 hours while you're signing forms, and then we send you off and hope you show up. Thinking that we actually have some ability to make that into a welcoming experience. Constantly check in with people, ask them if they're feeling hopeful. Is this getting overwhelming? What can we do to soften the experience? So that people feel like, oh my God, they actually care about you. Many of you, I've been to this, healthcare providers, hospitals are getting much more into this these days. And you go to places where they're constantly checking with you, is this paperwork too much? How was it? Did the registration process make sense? And you feel like, ooh, this is it. It's cool. So much smaller steps. Challenge the service box idea. Look at the ways in which the thing you're actually offering to people that we think is important as services. Stacy was saying this after. We think that everything we do to be helpful has to be giving people more. Sometimes the thing that's most helpful is actually just making it much softer and easier and making people feel successful with a lot less. And guess what? Takes the pressure off of us. And guess what? We let people know upstream that we can do that. I was just chatting with Elaine about, one of the things that you think about when you're shifting into the dimension of uninsured services and you start create flexibility and all of this, is you start to say, well, what can we do now that we're being more flexible? Now that we're opening up all these different, new ideas about how we deliver care to reduce our paperwork expectations. Chris and I actually had a conversation with Network 180, which is the Grand Rapids system, a year ago, with the first wave of GR cuts, saying, how do you offer, and they were saying, well, we'd like to offer flexible services, like drop-in services and flexible services so we don't have to do a waiting list for our people with GR. But the biggest problem is that when they drop in, we have to fill out this reams and reams of paperwork. And so we said, well, do you have to fill out reams and reams of paperwork if people show up in the emergency room? And they said, no, we don't have to do it then. And we said, why? Because they're in crisis. And crisis doesn't require that you fill out reams and reams of paperwork. I said, well, how do we define crisis? And they said, I don't know, it's written in the state manual somewhere, but we've always defined it a certain way. And I said, well, now that we're under pressure with reduced funding, and GR is a flexible pot. You're not accountable to the feds for how you spend your GR dollar. How do we define crisis? Can we define it more flexibly so we have some service options that may not require quite as much paperwork burden for people who are low threshold, but if we don't serve them flexibly, they're going to go to the emergency room, which is going to actually cost us more. So you open up the thinking, and some of this involves, county policy and state policy, but some of it involves just your own organizations. Your own organizations have rules that who knows where they come from. And make it easier for people to get in and come back. That's what this is about. So we're, one of the things we learned working with you guys is how to help you. We have to figure out how to help you take smaller steps in your QI process. So you actually make the change simpler, more connected to basic customer experience, okay? And think about how to help you just be more flexible in your own service boxes so you can be successful. So that was what I want to say. But I was a little curious. How did people find the exercise for yourselves? Was it helpful to sit and walk through that? And how so? What was helpful? What did you like or not like? Anybody? You're nodding. You have a nod.
I think I very much enjoy
You got too much into it?
No, I think they read too much into it.
They read too much into it.
They did.
Well, I was gonna say, just kind of the process of what we were, just the process of what we're doing is actually what you started off with saying, is just we sometimes make things much more complex than what we really need to.
Yeah, go ahead.
I like the aspect of it, bring it, when you look at the negative, to bring it up to a positive versus looking at a negative and then looking at a positive separately.
Do you guys feel like you know a little bit more about CQI now than you did when you came in the room?
Not so much.
The people I work with, like, been in 20 years, you know, some of them, 2 or 3 of them been, I'm clinical supervisors, people working under me has been there 20 years or so. And to have them change, per se, the way they approach, their attitude toward the clientele, the lack of respect that they don't realize that they're showing, you know, why are you back again? You know, I hope he leaves before I have to send this paperwork to Lansing. You know, how do you? I mean, I know that it's a slow process of change, and some things can't be changed. But my thing is, how do I start to approach these individuals, me being in the field just since '06, and them being in the field since the '80s, you know, and they looking at me like this newcomer is gonna, you know, tell me what to do, you know. So I'm still in the process of trying to gain some respect, for one, and then for me to come in all gung-ho and start trying to change their perspective on what they do, I think it's going to be counterproductive to me gaining their respect. Yeah,
So you asking for advice?
yeah, I'm looking for advice.
Because I got some for you.
Okay.
Okay. Being,
You have a mic?
nope.
Oh. Can I have that one on the thingy?
There's a couple things I would think about being the new guy on the block. First thing is, even though things look a certain way, in terms of, you know, you're kind of witnessing something that doesn't feel good to you, proceed with people who've been in the field for a very long time, from the other direction. To be in this field for a very long time, there has to be something there that's right. Okay, I mean, just come at it completely from the other direction. And the quickest way to gain respect from people is to actually ask for help. Okay, so if you want people to actually think that you're kind of worth putting some energy into, it is a much more fruitful activity to go to folks and say, you know, the thing that I don't understand is what you understand. And so just positioning with people so that you can kind of be exposed to the way that they see things, why they do things the way they do, and listen to what they're actually saying, not the frustration of the moment, but what they're actually saying about why they frame the world the way they do, is very, very critical for one reason, is you actually need to know that. Okay, you can't make assumptions by what you see about somebody else's behavior. You actually have to know why it is that they're framing it the way they do. So there's a humility to it. Okay. There's also a partnership aspect to it. I mean, who better to partner with than people who've been around for decades, who've seen a lot of history and have, you know, tried many, 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 many things and have a body of experience. You actually want those folks to be your partners. Once you kind of get sort of a right-minded footing with people, then it becomes fair game to say, and our challenge is to actually make things better. the starting place is not all the places where it goes poorly, but where do we do anything and we do it really well? Let's just begin there. Let's look at that, and we'll build off of that. Okay. It's a lot like, you know when you meet people and they're kind of early in their recovery, and it seems like the whole world is like just totally impossible. I can't do anything because there's too much, and it doesn't seem like I've ever done anything right. Well, how do you start? Same kind of approaches.
So, just to pick up on that, whoops, I have to make this work. One of the things, some of the principles are built in, like the whole idea of teaching CQI is to provide a little bit of a successful organized framework for creating a change process in the organization. And if you think about it, the thing you're not trying to do is you're not trying to change the staff, because if you do that, you immediately are going to buck up against you get the same piece of negativity. It's how do we improve our organization so we're more successful in our collective mission. So if the idea is that our people aren't doing as well as they could, they have trouble getting in, they drop out too soon, how can we figure out how to improve our organization? Not us, we're good people. Our organization is an issue. And part of the strategy, the thing you brought up with the doctors, is you always think this is a we that's going to do the change, just like one of those principles. Anytime you're thinking there's somebody else we need to change internally, then you're thinking you haven't built enough partnership. Okay, so we're going to do this together. Then the next thing is the way we do it is to try to understand our organization from the experience of the customers. And most people who do this exercise, they say, well, this is just trying to do that, trying to get a feeling for our organization from the perspective of the customers is a different approach than what we normally do. Okay, and that actually is one of the most important lessons. Now, some of you were busily constructing your organizations in a certain way, but if you actually experience your own organization from the perspective of the customers, you get to experience yourself warts and all. Okay, without the brilliant fish tank in the lobby or whatever you had. That was very cool. But, and that's important. So one of the things that's actually a starting place in your situation is you say, well, guys, look, we're all in this business because we're trying to help people not die out there, because we know if they don't get sober, they're going to die out there. So what can we do to make it easier for people to get here, stay here, and do well here? Everybody says, are you in this? Because I'd love to figure it out too. And they look at you and they, well, you're the supervisor, you have the answers. You should say, hell, I don't know. All I know is probably people, when they show up at our door, are not actually finding us to be as cool as we wish they did. And you say, well, how do we get started? And you say, well, let's just, why don't we, instead of being staff for a minute, why don't we walk through our own organization and see what it's like to be a client here? And we'll all take turns and we'll come back and be a team. It's not just what we did talking about it, but it's actually doing the experience. Okay? And then we don't have to fix it perfectly, because everybody will come up with reasons why it has to be the way it is. But everybody will come up with something they can do to make it better. And then they've moved from a piece of resistant people to people who are on a change team in partnership with you. And that's a critical piece of the process. Any of you done NIATEX here? The idea of actually doing an organization walkthrough, literally walking in, not just conceptually, is a great way of experiencing it. Because you said, well, the doctors don't know, the bosses don't know, the billing people don't know, the intake people don't know, most of the clinicians don't know what it's like to sit and walk in, be a client in your own organization, and have to do one day's worth of service. Okay? And any of you that goes through that would actually come back, you need to, because you're nuts. Okay? No, I'm kidding. But, it's tremendously hard. It's just eye-opening, the experience. We saw one guy somewhere, he did it once. He got admitted to his own organization once, and he immediately started tearing down. He said, I was ready to kill somebody. And I was just pretending. And he said he started tearing down walls. He reorganized the whole intake process. He was like totally into it. So, you know, think about that. Now here's the other thing, and I was going to pick up on this because this is another piece of the message and you led into it. We actually want to be doing more helpfulness to you guys ourselves, okay? So one of the things we do is we do technical assistance. We've been out to visit many of you, but not all of you. If we've been out to visit you once, we'd love to come back. So, and we also love to do technical assistance over the phone. So if you have a group of people and it feels like a big deal to get us to come out, you know, get a group of people and we'll talk on the phone. Okay? And we're going to put the word out in an organized way. I mean, you don't have to wait for that. Just send us an email and say, we want to talk to you over the phone. I've got a team of people. I want you to talk to them. And one of us will talk. And we'll get on the phone for an hour and we'll talk to whoever your change team is, your boss, whoever, yourself, whatever it is, we'll talk through exactly the organizational issues. Now, part of what I wanted to share coming out of this is, you know, last week, the week before, whatever, we were in Missouri, and we've been working with them more or less a similar length of time, a little bit longer. But we've been to some of the organizations a few times. And last time, you know, what had happened was the organizations were coming for the purpose of quality improvement and gradually had shifted so that the conversation was not just a small group of people working on a little project, but actually bringing everybody into the conversation. And you know, I know Chris went to a couple places, I went to a place, but, you know, I walked in and they had gotten 80 staff in the room, the boss to the secretary, and we went through the whole thing and they came out with like, you know, suddenly there were 20 some odd people on the change team instead of 2, you know, and people were totally excited and the boss was supportive and it, you know, he was like, oh, cool, I can write this into this grant that I'm writing and maybe that'll bring us more money. And everything was kind of fitting together for people. That's where we're trying to help with you guys. Okay, but it took a while to kind of get to the point where all of that can happen. So you can ask us to come out. We can talk on the phone. Anybody, just ask for help. Okay.
I'm going to Starfish and what's the name of the team? Tomorrow, Stace?
And it's the Life Choices program?
Life Choices,
Yeah.
day after tomorrow, so, okay. All right, so you guys ready to shift gears? Okay, you might be wondering why these 3 lovely volunteers in quotes are up here. We're going to be working with the Victoria case. Everybody have this one? Okay, these 3 folks have been enlisted to role play for us the main characters in the Victoria case. Now, they're already starting to feel a little chill because they already know what they're supposed to be doing. All of the rest of you should be getting a little nervous because you'll notice there are other chairs up here. So those chairs will eventually, very quickly, not eventually, very quickly, be full of people. And guess what? All those people that are going to sit in those chairs come from where? The audience. Okay, so get nervous. Okay, get nervous. Now, let me frame out what this exercise is about, because it's a little different. What we have realized is that people have a really hard time taking a lecture concept and actually putting it into clinical practice. It's just really hard to do. And there's an intermediate step, and that is you actually have to practice it before you go practice it. Okay, so a demonstration with role play is a nice way to kind of get your feet wet without all the risk of actually trying it out on real people in service. So this is the intermediate step. Okay, think of this as something you might be able to replicate in your own organizations. Okay, this is a assessment process where the interviewing during the assessment and the conversation is going to be between the role-playing folks here and a team of people. Okay, and this is a first meeting. This little family has come in here and they're meeting with the team that's going to be working with them. And it goes a little bit beyond just the assessment. It goes into using the first meeting to do things like, how do you create a motivational engagement framework? How do you start to identify issues of multiple parties? How do you start to think about how we do stage-based interventions? How are we starting to craft what would look like our first iteration of a plan during the assessment process? Okay. Now, you can already tell this might be a little bit difficult to do. There's many moving parts and there's lots of different objectives. So the thing that helps this happen is you get a coach. And the coach is, well, me. Okay. And what I'm going to do for learning purposes, for those who are at the table and those who are watching, I'm going to coach every single individual who is going to be doing a piece of the assessment. You get your own little personal piece of coaching. And that may be anywhere from actually whispering in your ear exactly what to say, if you can't think of anything, or quickly stopping you after you've said exactly the wrong thing. Okay, and I guarantee you there'll be some quick stops. Okay, now when I quick stop, realize that what I'm doing is I'm capitalizing on the great learning opportunity you've just put in front of us. Okay, so if I pull you up short, I'm going to turn what you said into an illustration of what rabbit hole it might lead you into. Okay, so you got to have a little bit of a thick skin. Some of you I may stop a lot more than others. And all that means is you've gone down the rabbit hole and you're going to have to wiggle your way back out of it. Okay, but we're going to work through it until you get there. Each person in sequence has a role in the whole sequence of the assessment. Okay, it's not a random, we start over when we get to me. Each person has a role in how the assessment actually plays out. So for example, the first person, who's probably going to be sitting somewhere right over there, is the opener. And the job of the opener, we should all know this by now, what's the job of the opener? To greet and to welcome, right. So the opener has a job. But then in sequence, everybody else is going to have a job that plays off of where the other person got to. Okay, it's only one person interviewing at a time, but it's one interview. Okay, your partner's in this. Okay, now the other thing you might notice is there's 3 of them. Oh my gosh, there's 3 of them. Okay, and they're all going to be involved in the conversation that ensues. Okay, every single one of these folks is the target of our welcoming. Every single one of these folks is the target of our motivational interviewing. Every single one of these folks is the target of our identifying stages for multiple issues. Okay, every single one of these people has equal relevance in this situation. Okay, so I'm going to read you the story. And then I'm going to ask for volunteers to fill these chairs. And then when we only get a couple of those chairs filled, I'm going to come pull you out of the audience to sit in the chair. Okay? So you know what's up, right? Okay. If there's anybody who vehemently objects because when you listen to the case, it scares you, just let me know and we'll give you a pass. But if you're just scared because you don't want to actually demonstrate, okay? Everybody's in the same boat, so here we go. Here's the story.
Anybody need the handout, by the way? They were in the packet.
Okay, this is Victoria. Okay, it goes something like this. Victoria, who, by the way, is being played today by the lovely Miss Stacy. Okay, Victoria is a spirited 16-year-old Latina who says, I have been to hell, but I want to go to heaven. She has a 1-year-old son she calls Carlito, who is being raised by her maternal grandmother since his birth. She lives with her uncle, who is a painting contractor, who is being played by the lovely Jean. And he's a painting contractor who is very strict with Victoria. Both of Victoria's parents have serious problems with drugs and alcohol. Her father is an alcoholic and her mother is addicted to opiates and suffers from depression. Her uncle, who will allow no contact between Victoria and her mother. Victoria's father is nowhere to be found. When asked what she wants out of life, Victoria states, "I want to feel like I deserve to be loved. It's not possible, but I want to bring up Carlito. Someday I will find some love without getting hurt. I have to keep myself in control even when I hear voices. If I can do that, I can be a real person. I love my mother, and I worry if she's okay. I don't like school, and I don't want to go back, please. The other girls get to have their babies, and I don't." She currently has an open child protection case and has no other legal problems. She has very few supports outside of her uncle and grandmother. She has 3 close family members diagnosed with schizophrenia. 2 of them committed suicide. Here's the current situation. Victoria's been picked up for truancy from her alternative high school and is brought to a Be Cool Behavioral Health Child Outpatient Clinic by her child protective caseworker, who's being played by the lovely Cheryl. When she arrives, she's found to be positive for marijuana. Her uncle is called at work to come to an emergency team meeting to determine what should happen next. Background. Victoria has a long history of childhood trauma that includes emotional and verbal abuse and physical abuse at the hand of her father. Sexual abuse began at age 8 and continued until she was 11 years old. Victoria recalls at 10 years old being severely depressed and violent. She began hearing voices of a man and woman who instructed her on 2 occasions to hurt her mother, which she tried to carry out. The voices and violent behaviors continued, and she was admitted to a psychiatric hospital at age 12. She was prescribed Seroquel and Prozac and stated that although these medications helped her, she was often confused or asleep due to the medication side effects. Upon release at age 13, Victoria was remanded to the care of her uncle. Her uncle is not a proponent of psychiatric medications and has resisted getting Victoria attached to regular psychiatric care in the past. Currently, she is not on medications and not involved with any mental health services. Victoria's first love relationship at age 15 was physically abusive and resulted in the pregnancy of her son, Carlos, who was taken by Child Protective Services as a result of his testing positive at birth for methamphetamine and marijuana. In order to try to regain custody of her son, Victoria successfully completed an inpatient drug program for 1 month and maintained sobriety for 3 months while living with her uncle. During this period, Victoria focused on learning to be a parent at classes offered by her alternative high school. She kept mostly to herself and had a hard time trusting. The one place she made a connection was in a young mothers group offered by the Catholic Church. She was hearing negative voices most of the time, and she kept herself focused by house cleaning and other chores. She kept hoping the voices would go away because she had stopped using drugs, but they did not. After 3 months, she felt hopeless about being able to stop the voices and regain custody of her child, so she began using marijuana again. Her uncle has been unaware of what has been going on. During this period, however, Victoria did re-engage successfully with her caseworker. Even though she kept using marijuana and still was hearing voices, while not on the medications, her mood improved slightly because of this support. And she acknowledged to her caseworker that she had terrible judgment in relationships, which was hard because she was very lonely. She opened up a little more about her feelings, but had difficulty discussing her voices, which she minimized, and was very unsure about whether she wanted to discuss her trauma history in any way. Her son, Carlito, is showing signs of developmental delay and has difficulty attaching. Victoria feels ashamed because she feels like she has hurt him. Her frequent communication by phone with her caseworker allows her to feel comfortable in calling her when the voices became loud again. 1 week ago, Victoria called the caseworker and told her that the voices were saying to her, "Carlito does not belong to you." She was again feeling very depressed. This week, since then, has not gone well, which led to her truancy. She is now here with you, her new team, accompanied by the child protective caseworker and her uncle. Please begin a conversation with Victoria and her support system. Your goal is to begin to establish a connection with all parties understand their perspectives and concerns, and begin a treatment relationship with Victoria that will help her stay safe and leverage her strengths and hopeful goals to help her attend to the complexity of her issues in a strength-based way. As a beginning place, take a moment and identify her hopeful goals in a period of relative stability and strengths. So you guys, that's who you are. You have complete poetic license from this point forward. Okay, now we need a team of interviewers. So I'm looking for the 2 people who are willing to volunteer, and then I'll come gather up the others. You want to volunteer or be picked? Come on now. Okay, anybody want to volunteer before I sweep the room? You're going to be in the interviewing roles and get coached as interviewers, as a team, interviewing this family, doing the assessment. Okay, come on up. Okay, come on up. So we got 2. Any more volunteers? Okay. This is going to be the first person, and this is going to be the last person. So if you want to go start out or clean up or somewhere in the middle. I would pick the middle if I were you guys. Okay, the chairs get harder from this point on. Okay. Anybody else want to interview? Okay, here we come. We're going to come around the back of the room. Come on up. Thank you. Thank you. See, she's saving you guys over here. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Who am I going to pick? Thank you very much. Why don't you come on up? Join us. Oh, okay. Well, then see what you did to him? Come on, Todd. Okay, here we go. All right, let's see. Let's come over here. Who are we going to get? Who are we going to get?
I get the figure. Let me clarify
Who are we
that.
going to get? Who are we going to get? Come on up and join us. Thank you very much. Okay, well, let's see. I think Dave Taylor needs to be put on the spot. Okay. Let me see, who else? Okay, oh, who's got their faces covered? Come on and
Gotta
join
see
us.
with your name on it, my brother.
Come on, there
Join
we
the
go.
party.
Okay, join the party. Okay, we need 1 more person, right? Okay, 1 more person. Anybody want to volunteer before I snag them? Is that a volunteer look at? Well, come on up anyway. Thank you very much. This is the hardest part, getting people to fill those chairs up. Okay, you're good sports. Thank you.
The caseworker, is the caseworker for the child, for Carlito, or for Victoria?
She's your caseworker.
I get somebody on my side. 'Cause you people are scaring me.
Okay. Yeah, you guys have microphones in front of you on the table there. So I think all you have to do is just talk normally and it will try to pick your voices up. Okay? Okay, so now the rest of us, I have a job, I'm gonna coach. The rest of you guys, you guys need to pay very close attention to what's going on. Very, very close. Because every piece of redirection, everything is gonna have a purpose behind it. It's not a random conversation. It's actually a piece of art that's got purpose, right? So be looking for things and be asking yourself, why did they go that way? Why are we going that way? What's the point of doing it like that? Okay? Nothing is happening randomly. If randomness starts to come in, I'm gonna yank the randomness out of the conversation. Okay? This is serious business. This is clinical art right here. Okay? So who did we say was gonna go first? I did. Okay. All right, so this is how coaching happens. You have one main job. Okay? It's actually the easiest.
I was gonna say that too, darn it.
Two things, one, stay close to the table so you're in the frame of the picture, and everything should be.
If I get any closer, I'm gonna be sitting in your
No,
lap.
you were fine.
Okay.
Standing over by the podium and floating.
Okay, okay. So you have one job, okay, and in the job of opening is, you look at these three people, and you say, I have to make sure from the very beginning of this conversation that all three of these people feel welcomed into this conversation. That's all you gotta do.
Okay, good afternoon. I'm glad that you came for your appointment. Glad to see each and every one of you here today. And I would just like to start off by giving you some information about the session that's going to occur, is that it is a confidential session. And what you say will stay within the parameters of this room. But I must let you know that if you inform me of your tendency to want to harm someone or yourself, that I will take action to make sure that you're not harmed or anyone else.
Intercede. Okay, this is where you get that thick skin.
Okay.
So what are you feeling right now, audience members? Shout it out. I'm getting rules and I'm starting to feel a little threatened,
Okay.
okay? Okay, so remember, what was the only job you had?
Oh, I thought you wanted to really start like, okay, just to make them feel welcome.
That was the only job you
Oh,
had?
okay, well, scratch, I'll start over.
Okay, there you go.
I thought you really wanted to be, okay. Good afternoon. I'm glad each of you came today. And I just wanted to let you know, first off, do you need anything? Are you comfortable in your chairs? And do you need some coffee or some water? Or anything? Okay, we have that available for you. I'd like to let you know that we have restrooms available, and I can show you where those are. If you have to get up at any time, feel free to do so. But I want to just sort of start to get to know you a little bit first by the day, and just sort of ask each of you, what brings you here today?
Okay, time.
Okay.
What's the one job?
Welcome.
So
Do you
we're
like our
already
fish tank?
into understanding this, okay. This is, the reason I'm poking on this is because welcoming is something that you actually want to stay in for a little while, okay? So starting very nicely with, here's your basic creature comforts. Let's make sure everybody knows where the potty room is. Okay, that's cool, okay? However, the welcoming, remember, the thing you're trying to do is establish a welcoming connection, welcoming framework with each one of these people. Each one of these people. You want each one of them to, when they finish, you know, this piece of the interview, say, cool, I feel like I belong.
Okay, Victoria, is that your name? Yeah. How are you doing?
All right.
You're saying you're all right, but I sort of pick up, maybe perhaps things aren't all right?
I get kicked out of school.
Oh, that must be rough to be kicked out of school. Can you tell me about?
Go ahead, roll up.
I'm trying to move to MI.
My voice is telling me to hurt you.
She's trying to save you.
I have a pen.
Okay, so you get to give the first person interpretation of how you're feeling.
Am I in trouble?
Okay. Good. How are you feeling?
Worried that it's not going to go well for Victoria, who I'm trying to help.
Okay. How are you feeling?
We just need to figure out what to do, and let's get this taken care of.
Good job. Good job. Does that help you out at all?
No.
Individual.
Okay. Well, I want to say first, thank you for coming. And I'm really not sure what's going on, the reason that you're here, but I am sure that whatever the reasons are, that we can help each of you fix whatever the situation is. I see heads nodding. What is?
Okay, hold on. Therapy in me wants.
Yes, it is. So, here's the thing with opening up a conversation. Okay, so first thing, if you kind of slip into their shoes for a minute, am I in trouble? I'm used to being in trouble. Am I in trouble? This is not gonna go well for her, because nothing really ever goes very well for her. Can we fix this, please? I'm a busy man. I gotta go paint a house. Okay, so in the welcoming business, sometimes just short, sweet, and direct is really good. Okay, so the thing that I whispered in the ear, okay, thank you for coming. I'm very glad you came. Okay, whatever it is that's going on, we're gonna figure out how to be helpful next. I'm looking forward to getting to know you guys. Thanks. Okay, sometimes just like being right there with it, okay, before therapy happens or problem identification or any of that happens, just making sure that you're actually trying to deliver the message that whatever they're going through, it was a good decision to be here. Okay, cool. So in some ways, the opening is the easiest and it's the hardest. Because being that direct and that simple sometimes is the hardest thing to actually do. Okay, good job. You're off the hook.
The first was the hardest.
That's why I figure I'd take first, so I can be slam dunk.
That was the easiest. Was that easy?
You got a name. That's what I was Yeah. This uncle. That's why I do it.
Young lady.
Yes, Pop.
She's a caseworker, local Victoria.
Tia. Because I like you. You help me. Oh, okay.
I just said I needed that.
Oh, I should look that up. Uncle is in Spain. Tia. Tia. I thought you were getting music. No. Okay.
So hi Victoria, how are you doing?
Okay.
So how are you doing today, Victoria?
All right.
All right. Okay. You here for some help today?
Here, get my son back.
Here to get your son back. Okay.
Protective services.
Oh. You don't, okay. We don't have names. Okay. Cheryl. So how are you, Cheryl, today? I want to thank you two for coming in today.
Michael.
So thank you for coming in too today, Cheryl, and taking the time to come down here. And then Jean, we're glad you're here today too. And we know that everybody here is here to help Victoria, and that we're all concerned with her.
You're interpreting something. You
Okay,
actually
oh, I
know
don't
that.
know that they're, okay.
So you have no.
But you can't assume. You can't assume. That's a good thing.
Okay, so Cheryl, you heard Victoria say that she's here to get her son back today, and you have an interest here today as well too?
I would just like to help Victoria be able to accomplish what she wants to accomplish and help her out. She's been calling me for support, and I would like to get some help with that as well.
What was happening then?
She was taking some parenting classes. She had made a connection with some people in a group at the church, and she had just completed a inpatient program, but, and then continued. And everything seemed to be going pretty well for her.
Okay, so she's taking parenting classes and she was doing some of those things that she needs to do to get it together. Jean, you're looking a little. Victoria, Cheryl just said there was a period of time when things were going really well. You're kind of nodding your head. You agree with that? Okay. Well, what was going on with you?
I had my parenting classes,
Right?
and they said I could get Carlito back if I took my parenting classes. I
Okay.
took my parenting classes. I did what I was supposed to do.
Okay, good. No, you were working really hard and you were trying to do the thing that you thought was gonna help get Carlito back, right? Okay, yeah, so you were really working hard at doing that and something quite didn't work there. But what else happened? What else was going on then? Were you doing anything else?
I was going to school because they said I had to go to school too. Just a lot of stuff.
Okay,
Got hard.
okay, so I heard your Uncle Gene say a minute ago, going to school was an important thing for him. So you guys were kind of working together at that point? Okay, so it sounds like you were doing some of the things to help move you in the direction you want to go, right? Okay. You're not looking real confident about that.
It was hard,
Yeah, it was hard.
okay?
It was
I
hard.
did the best I could. I really did. I really did.
Okay.
But things got hard.
Kind of made you feel like you weren't living up to people's expectations, huh?
He's on my back.
I'm sorry?
He's on my back.
Oh, okay. You were working really hard, weren't you? Okay. Do you know that both of these people are here to help you? I mean,
Duh.
thank you.
I just gave her my bracelet, my very special bracelet.
All right.
Yes, I was gonna text her.
She gave you a pen, just all kind of give it here.
So you got her to open up a bit. She's told you some things. That's pretty cool. So swing to Gene and help him express how hard he's working during that same time.
Okay, so I know you were working really hard. And Gene, you were working hard too. You said a little while ago, you know, we kind of looked at this whole thing, that you're really working hard to try to help out Victoria. What was going on with you?
Look, I'm doing everything that makes sense to me. I don't get this. Nothing seems to be working, and I don't get that. She had a tough start in life, but things are different. I gave her her second chance, and look what's going on. It's like, what else can I do?
Okay, you're feeling kind of stretched,
Yeah, absolutely.
right?
No idea what I can do at this point.
Okay. Gene, why are you doing this for Victoria?
You know, she had a tough break. This is my family. I want to help take care of her. She's important to me. We need an orchestra
It's Oprah.
So this is a choice opportunity, okay? You just saw his soft underbelly, okay? He loves her, okay? So help him feel rewarded for doing that, okay? And help her understand that he actually just expressed that in public. She may have been wondering if that's actually true.
It's real clear you've been working really hard and you're frustrated right now, Gene, and you care a lot about Victoria. And you know, sitting here, watching you, I don't know if Victoria noticed it or not, but you looked at her and said, you know, I love her, she's part of my family, I really care for her. And Victoria, I don't know if you noticed or not, but you looked that back at him. So that tells me that something's going on there.
Sorry.
All right, so what are you guys thinking at this point?
Wow. Good job, man.
Oh, we just connected, right? Okay, so this is pretty cool. It took 1, 2, 3, 4 slots, right? 4 pieces in the puzzle, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4 people to go. Oh, we're halfway through. Oh my goodness, we got a lot of ground to cover. Okay, now why do you hang with it until you feel like you got a connection?
Because that's the goal.
Because that's the goal. Okay, how are we gonna know if we're successful with this family? If they're willing to come back, right? Okay, so we're touchdown territory here. Okay, rate of return. We're making a connection with them. So everything else that we do today is kind of the gravy on top of that. Okay, so we made it through a really critical union here. Okay, now we do need to figure out what the heck we're going to be doing together in service of this happiness that we've just found. Okay, so you have a specific job. Okay, so you have to very artistically, gracefully, but quickly.
No pressure.
Yeah, right. I got the easy job.
You
I'm in
got
the
these-
middle.
You're in the middle,
I'm
right?
in the
I know.
middle.
I set you up. I set you up. I set you up. Don't worry. So what you have to do with these guys is you have to move from saying, "Oh, I get it. You guys are a family, and you're working hard on this because you actually care about each other." And Cheryl, you're a part of this extended family. That's pretty cool. So let's figure out what it is we need to be paying attention to today while we're here, so we can figure out how to get started.
We want to address don't we want to address the positive marijuana thing? And talk about the anxiety issue?
I dare you. Put it out on the table right now and see what happens. Do it. Do it. Go ahead.
No, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not going to rabbit hole.
I got a pen.
She wants a rabbit
I
hole.
have 2 pens now.
So all I'm doing is just validating, right? Just
We're gonna
validating.
shift them into thinking about what we need to be doing together today.
And that is,
That is whatever. it is.
Whatever they do.
So shift, recognize what just happened.
just piggyback on what he just
Yeah,
did.
piggyback for a second, and then I'll help you out.
I'm going to need help.
That's okay.
So it appears that your uncle loves you very much, and very important. Family's very important. And it appears that Cheryl's part of that extended family of yours and wanting to support you in obtaining Carlito and having your son back with you. And it sounds like your uncle's on that same page. He wants you to be independent and work through this so that you can raise your son and be with him. So it sounds like everybody's on the same page with what you want to do. How's that sound? Victoria?
Okay, she's not, that's enough. You don't
Oh,
need an
okay.
adolescent to do more than nod their head.
Adolescent?
That's a
Okay.
lot. Do I need to nod some more?
Fantastic. No, that's great. That's great.
That was the blessing, that was the blessing.
See, I served my purpose.
That was the transition. Okay, now,
Okay.
you have to say something to the effect of, given that we know what we're working with, no unfortunate. Oh, everybody runs there.
Okay.
I'll just put you, try to do this more gracefully for you. So now that we've kind of got it, okay, we're all pulling the oars in the same direction here because we're a family, okay? We're in a bit of a pickle in the moment because we're actually sitting here. So we have to figure out, now that we know why we're doing what we're doing together, what do we need to do now to kind of go to the next step? What's going on?
Well, there's 2 or 3 things that we need to address.
You have to talk to them. They have to bring it to you. You don't give it to them. They bring it to you. So it's easy.
Okay. All right. I'm more direct. Victoria, what's going on now?
They kicked me out of school
Kick you out of school? Why would they kick you out of school?
because I beat up that bitch in that classroom. That's why.
You beat up another woman. Why'd you do that? A girl.
Teacher.
The teacher was a woman. Okay, you beat up the teacher. Boy, what did she do?
She told me I was stupid and that I didn't deserve to have my little boy.
The teacher said that to you?
I think so.
It was a teacher that said that.
It was a teacher.
Okay,
I think I said that.
all right. I can see how that can be very hurtful. I can see how that can engage
More hurtful
you.
to her.
Yeah, in the end, you're right. You're right. Okay, and what did you do after you beat up the teacher?
Police came. I didn't get to do anything.
Police came, then, okay, then where'd you go for them?
I decided not to press charges, and I called Cheryl. Took me a while to get her, but I called Cheryl, and she came down, and then they called my uncle. My uncle got there first. He was all mad. He was yelling and stuff. Bitch deserved it,
Why do you think your uncle be mad?
because I get kicked out of school.
Okay, so he's mad because you kicked out of school. That makes sense. Makes sense. Okay. Yeah, I want to know about the pot. I want to know how she, when did you smoke the reefer? How did that happen?
So you're
Did
gonna
you
give
eat
that
it?
up?
What is-
Give that up because it's not gonna be in your chair that
That's
that
the whole point.
happens.
Okay,
So
all right.
give that up.
Okay.
Okay. So here's the thing to think about. So here's the thing to think about. Okay, do you feel her kind of getting a little frustrated here?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
She's expressing herself.
Okay, so it's okay to like let her up. Okay, do you think she knows that she's in trouble because she beat up the girl, the teacher?
I think so.
Oh, yes, okay, so we don't need to like go poke on that hornet, right?
Nope.
Okay. What do we need to know?
Well, she hears voices, and that's why she used it. So I wanted to try to identify if that was really the voice she heard from the teacher, or if it's on the voice she heard, because she's hearing voices, and that's why she starts using.
Okay, I could see you going there. What'd you find out?
She really wanted to just place it on that teacher because she wanted to have an external anger point to release.
No, that's not what I
No?
said.
No?
No?
What did she actually say?
She said that she heard a voice, but she wasn't sure.
I
it was
did
the
not
teacher.
say I heard a voice.
What did
Wait,
she
no, she
say?
thought it was the
Stupid.
teacher. She called you stupid.
said
She
you
called you
thought.
stupid, right,
That's why.
right. But you felt that she called
You
you
felt.
felt. Right.
Okay,
So I'm
so,
still not determined that it was the teacher.
but that's okay, but that's not gonna happen in your chair,
Okay,
okay? Remember, you have a role. There's a sequence to this.
okay.
If you jump sequence, because it's the burning thing that's going around in your stomach,
Yeah,
okay, what are you gonna do?
shut her down.
You're gonna shut the whole thing, you're gonna take the whole thing completely backwards.
Right.
Okay, are there some issues on the table that are just aching to come out here? Okay, there are. If you reach in there and grab them, you're gonna draw back a nub.
It's true.
Okay, so stay, don't poke on hornets, don't go in and grab them, help them, bring them to you. Okay,
Okay.
help them bring them out. So you still have two other players, okay? You can let
Got
her
it.
up, because she's already getting frustrated.
Got it.
Okay.
Gene. So how'd you feel when you got to,
Okay, wait a minute, that's an obvious, how do you think?
I figured you felt angry.
Yeah, okay.
Got pulled out of
Okay,
work.
so-
Let him vent his anger, get some of
Well,
the.
no, because what is he gonna do? He's gonna sit over there and he's gonna say, what, are you an idiot? What would you feel like?
Then I'll engage in it.
So here's the thing, call it for what it is. You just found out what it is. This is a mess.
No.
This is a stinking mess,
Mhm.
okay? You know you're in trouble. You did something that even you know you shouldn't have done, okay? That's pretty clear because you feel like, it's not gotten you closer to what you want, okay? Gene, you came down there screaming and hollering because you know this is one more step in the wrong direction.
Going backwards, yeah.
Yeah, we're going back. Call it for what it is. I mean,
He's solution oriented. No.
it's obvious to everybody.
Someone's gonna validate his feelings.
Just call it for what it is. This is a terrible mess.
This is a real thorny situation that's occurred, and I know that it's gonna be very challenging for all of you, You're having to deal with the situation.
So
You-
what we need from you is a plan here.
Okay,
Look.
now, okay, beautiful. You see what happened? You
Yeah,
put the
okay.
responsibility on them, and then Gene said, well, wait a minute, you're the helper.
Right.
Okay, so when you feel
Thanks, Unc.
yourself saying, this is a bad situation you're in,
Here
what
for
are you gonna do to fix it? The immediate flip is, well, then why am I here with you? Okay, so rephrase it.
What do you think we could do to help? What would your recommendation be?
Look, I'm a businessman.
Absolutely.
When I get a job, I develop a plan that's efficient, effective, and has the best possible chance of a good outcome. That's what we need here.
I totally agree. I'm glad that we have somebody at the table that knows how to do plans and put this together in perspective. So with some of your expertise, could you give me some idea of what you would think that might help in this situation?
Well, I think the first thing to do is to hear from Victoria about what's keeping her from going to school so that we can come up with a way to deal with that. Because
I don't need to go to school.
to
It's
get
not gonna help me get Carlito back. They're not teaching me anything. It's not helping. All they do is make fun of me. You know, I just can't deal with it. And what are you writing down?
I'm just taking notes because I have a bad memory.
Is he gonna go to the court with that?
No, I don't have that much power. Really don't.
If you don't go to school, you're gonna have to get a job. So it's
Okay, I'll get
gotta
a
be
job.
one of those two
I'll
things.
get a job.
Fantastic. So what kind of job would you want to do?
I like cleaning. Keeps my mind off of things.
Okay, cleaning. Like house cleaning or business cleaning or?
Doesn't matter. As long as I'm
dishes?
busy.
Just busy.
Just busy.
Busy cleaning.
Yep. I clean good
Yeah?
at home.
Okay, hold up.
Yeah, I'm
We're
working
planning-
solution oriented.
Okay, we are. So we're planning for how far down the road are we here?
We're towards her end. We're towards her
Okay,
end.
we're like talking months down the road. What's the situation right now?
I was
Yeah.
gonna bring up the pot thing, say.
No, 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 you're not, it's not happening in your chair, give it up.
You want me to light it up now? I
Share it with you.
And share it if you do. Why don't you
Okay,
share some?
so try this on for size. Okay, try this on for size. Okay, so Victoria, here's what I hear. Okay, there's a mess going on at school, and it's gotten so bad, and, you know, that now people have gotten hurt, and you're at least knowing that your uncle is angry at you. Charges weren't pressed, but it's kind of a big deal, it's a big mess. I'm not sure what the school is willing to do at this point, whether the school has expelled you, I don't know that yet. And Uncle, what I'm understanding is that Victoria, whether she's in school or not, she's still under your care. And so we have to figure out where to go from today to tomorrow to figure out how we make something better immediately. Because this is a kind of a crisis we got going on here. Okay, we're not gonna fix a whole life, and Carlito's not coming back tomorrow. But we do want to go in the right direction so that it's more likely that you can do what you need to do to get Carlito back. And Jean, that you have the kinds of things in your toolbox that you can use to help her do that. And Cheryl, we have to figure out how it is that you can be most helpful to her, given that you have a limited amount of resources and time. And so we need to think very specifically, and Jean, I like your idea of developing a plan of what we're gonna do from now until the next time we see you.
I was recommending that she could have said with MRS. I was gonna recommend that she contact MRS,
So what is the situation we got going on, though?
give her some guidance.
Says that her uncle is opposed to.
Okay, so that's not in his chair either.
Okay, so is it that, first of all, it's a possibility she may not be able to return to the school?
Okay, we
So-
do actually have a little
There you
mini
go.
crisis going on here,
Right.
right?
Right.
What does that mean
Okay.
for getting my kid back?
And then that could interfere with her possibly getting her
Exactly.
back.
Exactly.
She's not in
Exactly.
school because
Exactly.
CPS is
Exactly.
involved and the uncle wants her in school and just to do what
Right.
she's supposed to do in order to maintain on her own, hopefully someday.
Exactly. So, and we've already taken her to get her employed,
Right.
Which actually gets me off the hook.
which gets you totally off the hook, because you have a problem to solve. You have a problem to solve,
Right.
right?
Because then what happens is that the kid, I know this, I had a case just like this. The kid turns around and says to the court, well, how can you take my kid away? Look, I got a job, I'm getting a job and blah, blah. But what about what happened? And it actually sets the kid up for failure.
Okay.
Gotta deal with the crisis at hand.
So here you
So
go.
the
You're gonna be
impulsive
good at
behavior.
this. Okay.
Good.
So here's what we gotta do. she's already told us, they've all told us that there is a period of time when she actually has a whole lot of capacity to move in the right direction and make it more likely that she'll get Carlito back. And he's already demonstrated he can provide enough support for that, and so did Cheryl. So they've already been able to do something in the right direction. Right now, they're in a totally different scenario. It's all gone backwards on them. So they have to be able to figure out how to move back to do the things that they were doing that were successful now, okay? In doable steps, okay? And the reason why is it has to go back to her goal. If we don't figure out what to do between now and the next time we see each other to make it more likely that life starts to go in the right direction, it's less likely that you'll be able to get Carlito back.
Victoria, I'm sorry to hear that, what happened in school. Cheryl, I'm gonna ask you a question. Could you tell me the status with her staying in the school, that she had a fight with the teacher? I know they didn't press charges. Are they considering to let her come back to her school?
They have not decided that yet, one way or the other.
One or the other. No, Victoria, you mentioned that you really liked the school and you was taking parenting skills. Were you able to complete that course, or you suddenly had to stop?
They stopped class.
They stopped the class. I know you're interested in that. Just show back this question back to you. Are there any other alternative schools that will offer both a parenting class along with regular academic classes that possibly she can finish up getting her diploma?
That's something we could look into.
Yes. Also, Jane, I have a question for you. Considering if she do go to another school, possibly the question of the distance from where you live to a new school would be adequate transportation for her to get back and forth.
Well, we'd have to look at it, but I would certainly, if she's committed and makes a commitment to going, I'll make a commitment to seeing she gets there.
Victoria, would you be willing to make a commitment to considering looking for another school that offer you both parenting classes and your regular academic classes? Could we all agree that at this point we'll start looking at some resources, other alternative schooling, and get you back on the right track so you can complete your parenting classes, get your high school diploma, and work towards getting your son back? Are we all on the same page? Start working together as a team?
Well, yeah, I think that Victoria was working as hard as she possibly could, but some other things, happened at that time, and she called me for support, but she still needed more support. She wasn't able to overcome the problems at the time.
Is there any other issues that we need to talk about that you would like to put on the table that we
Of
can work
course.
on? Jen?
Right, with all this missing school, she's smoking dope.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Okay. Pay attention to this. It didn't happen in this chair. You wanted to ask. You didn't even have to ask. You didn't fall out on the table. Imagine that. He brought it right to you.
questions.
Okay, here we go. And there's
It
others.
was the tone of your voice.
Victoria, I asked you a question. Could you possibly know what was going on with you at the time that would cause you to stop smoking marijuana, or with the school giving you a hard time?
Just need to relax a little bit, okay? Wasn't that much, not a big deal.
Well, yeah, well, it's a little bit too much. Now, Cheryl, Victoria discuss this issue that she started smoking marijuana, or to have a conversation that can hinder her in her pursuit to get her son back?
Can I call a halt? Can I call a timeout? Because serious, I feel like I'm under the gun.
Okay. So I was gonna let him dig himself into all that.
Oh, okay.
It's gotta be fair. I have to pick on you.
Things are going
So
way too well.
we found, we found something out. It landed in
You
our
feel like
lap,
you
right?
you're not good
See, I
at
would've
no
put it
job.
on
Okay.
I'd have put that on you.
So it landed in our lap. The uncle says, well, yeah, there's other issues. That'd be great if she would agree to go to school and get the parenting classes and it all line up and everything. But as Cheryl has said, there were other things going on. Duh, here's the issue. She's smoking dope. Okay, that's from his perspective,
Not mine.
not hers.
But it's real, because she tested positive for marijuana, so that's real.
She's smoking dope. He
Right.
sees that as the issue of the day, okay?
No, that's not what I see
That's
as
not
the
what
issue.
she sees, and that's not what she sees. So before you think that we're gonna go into the curing the dope smoking business,
Good luck with that.
let's understand.
tell you that
the
right
situation.
now.
Problem, I know.
Let's understand the situation. Now, the best person to actually explain how much dope is the right amount of dope to smoke to be Victoria is Victoria.
Right.
Okay, and we really need to understand this. Why? Because what's she gonna land in our laps? More of what she's actually experiencing.
Why is she smoking?
Right, that's what I wanna know.
Can I say something? The thing that's gonna get you, the whole point of starting with the period of strength and success is it gives you a way of talking about anything that's going on in a way that's less defensive. So you don't have to like get into a struggle with Victoria about why she's smoking dope. What you know already is that she worked pretty hard to stay sober for like 3.5 months. And something was making that extremely hard for her, which Cheryl knows about, Victoria knows about, but she isn't really yet ready to say. And she needs some help putting it on the table. So right at this juncture, the way to stay out of battles with people is to go back to their success and stay there. So I'll stop.
Okay. Victoria, well, I will commend you for when you stopped smoking marijuana. That's a very big achievement for you. As in, you know, maybe we concentrate on working on getting you into another school to offer parenting classes and so forth.
So, follow my lead here. Okay, so Victoria, let me understand this. There was a period of time when you were feeling like you were doing exactly what you wanted to do to get Carlito back. And during that period of time, lots of things were going in the right direction. You were taking the parenting classes, you weren't using the drugs, you were finding it like you could focus and keep yourself distracted and do the things you needed to do, okay? Sounds like that time has kind of come and gone at this point. And so there's some things that are being put out on the table here, like the marijuana, like the school problems and all. And I'm wondering what it is that you're thinking about in terms of what was actually helpful then that you might be able to kind of restart or get some help to restart now. Okay, so you're pushing it back to the strength part. We're not dropping the marijuana, but we're shifting our focus.
It's anxiety, she's trying to reduce her anxiety.
Victoria, could you tell me what we need to do, or you think we need to do to get you started back on the right track? And what I can do to help?
I need the meds again.
Did you hear that? Oh, the gift from on high. She brought it up herself.
Waiting for an hour to get it. Jesus Christ.
Please, would somebody like her.
And
So what did she say? Did you hear what she said?
I
I need the meds again.
And she looked at him.
And she looked at him. Okay, now what a gift.
Come on,
Okay. I understand you say you need the meds. Glenn? Jean, I'm sorry. Victoria expressed that she need a meds. Has she currently seen her doctor?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, follow her.
I'm sorry, Victoria, you said you need the meds again. Have you seen your doctor, or are you make an appointment so the doctor can put
What
you?
meds?
Oh,
And what did they do for you?
What type of meds were you taking and how did they help you?
I think it was the Seroquel. That worked pretty good. The Prozac was okay.
Pretty good in doing what?
Huh?
In what capacity did the meds help you? Pretty good in doing what of helping you?
They kept the voices down. I could ignore them easier.
Actually, we make appointments, or possibly can make appointments for to see a doctor to get back on our meds, Cheryl?
That would be up to Victoria and her.
Okay. Well, that's what you say you want, like, to get back on your meds, Glenn?
Maybe find something different than the Prozac. Makes me really kind of slushy and stuff.
Maybe that'd be a positive step for, you make an appointment back to see your psychiatrist and get you back on a different mixture of your medication to help you.
All over eyes, fall
Oh,
over. She keeps
okay.
looking like, I'm
Okay,
gonna say
right,
yes when he
okay.
says yes. I'm
Okay,
gonna say yes when he says yes.
Glenn, do you agree? How you feel about possibly getting her back to seeing a psychiatrist, get her back on some meds to help her, so she can get back on the right track?
You know, I think about substituting one drug for another, and I just don't know that it's a good idea.
Then don't bother me about the pot.
Well, she's saying that she'd rather be taking prescribed medication than to be self-medicating.
Would you be willing to have me go to the doctor with you so that I can
don't
talk
care,
with him
that's
about that?
fine. I brought you the stuff they gave me.
What
You know, it works.
Oh, no.
It worked. I brought you the papers they gave me at the place, at the clinic place.
I know, but that's, you know, drug companies are gonna say what great things they do, of course, because they're selling the drugs, but, if we can go together and I can get a better feeling about this, you know, that would be a next step I'd be willing to take.
Well, that'd be fantastic. You can accompany her to her appointments and give you a chance to speak with a psychiatrist and you can support her.
You gonna come to,
Cheryl,
Cheryl,
would
you
you willing
come?
to go?
Of course.
Well, that would be great. That would be real good, and we start working
Is
towards.
it really bad? I'm
What's
not-
really bad?
The voices are really bad. I'm not sure if that was the voice that told me to hit the teacher.
Christmas.
And I'm Jewish. It's hilarious. Yeah, yay.
So what do we have out on the table?
You want it too quickly.
Okay.
The suit's not working.
Here's this great little family. Everybody kind of loves everybody. Everybody agrees that Victoria should have exactly what she wants. Everybody's struggling real hard. Victoria says, and oh, by the way, the voices are like really, really bad. I've been thinking about going back on medicine, but I'm worried because Uncle Gene doesn't really want me on those medicines. So it'd be cool if you kind of came with me. And Cheryl, he's kind of hard to deal with, so could you come with me too? Okay. Oh, by the way, the pot thing. Okay, the pot thing. Well, the pot thing's kind of in the middle of this. I'm not exactly sure why, but somehow or another, the pot seems to be something that's useful to me in the context of all that's going on. Okay, Gene has pretty much like moved past needing to argue about it. Okay, he's over here trying to solve a different problem. That's pretty cool. So we're in pretty good shape here. Okay, not only have we made a connection with him, but we've actually gotten to agree to come back to a psychiatric assessment for medications. How cool is this? We're a pretty good team, right? That's more progress than we usually make in an hour.
She's
Okay?
sweating a lot too right
Okay,
now.
what's that?
She's sweating a lot now.
Yeah, and she's doing a lot of
She's got a high
thinking,
anxiety
right?
going
She's
on.
actually doing some work here, okay? So now's a good time, when people are working really hard and they've made a little progress, now's a good time to do what? Reel her on in, exactly.
Reel it in, you're
Okay.
already there.
All right, so now, here's something that you want to think to yourself, is there anything I've heard in the case that she's still a little bit worried about? How about the first sentence?
Oh, yes, forgot.
Almost like heaven.
Next best price.
Yeah. Good luck with that. It's a Catholic thing.
It's paradise, you're working in between. Or maybe purgatory.
Well, no, let me take that out of there. Wait, come here.
I want a chunk of the sales receipts.
I have a pen.
I was ready.
I have a therapist pen. That's even more dangerous.
Yeah, my fingerprints are on that.
There you go, see?
We'll be shown here, we'll be shown
We're
out.
going down together.
South Dakota.
I'll take you to prison with me.
This is the team I was working with.
Prison patrol meeting.
Can you blur out those name tags? Clients during the day, you ought to be tired. The day is over.
Hi, Victoria. What I hear that you're saying is that you are willing to go back and see your psychiatrist and possibly get some medication with the assistance of your uncle
Sure.
and Cheryl, but more so with the assistance of your uncle.
He pays for it.
He pays for it. And your, okay, and your uncle is willing to assist you. I lost my train of thought, just that quick. So what's your behavior? Okay. Cheryl, I hear that you're saying, I'm sorry, Victoria, I hear that you're saying that you need your medication, and that you said in prior conversation that you're not sure, you were hearing voices, and someone at school called you stupid, and you were unsure whether or not those voices was from the teacher or it was voices that you were hearing. Why I keep losing my train of thought? I listened to everybody, and I'm just, yeah. I keep losing my train of thought. Okay.
So let me kind of take this moment to sort of step back and say, I think we've actually done something pretty important today, because we've gotten to a piece of understanding where it sounds like Cheryl's really wanting to do something to not have to experience, hearing voices and kind of have things, Victoria, hearing voices and not having to have bad things happen to her, and have so much difficulty in school. So when you go to that assessment, I think one of the things that you might want to be working with the psychiatrist as you're talking with the psychiatrist is, what is it that's actually influencing what? Because sometimes things like marijuana or other drugs can actually make voices better or worse. Certain medicines work better or worse. And so there's a lot here to figure out. And so I want you to know that when you go talk to the psychiatrist, being able to talk kind of openly and honestly about what you're actually experiencing is very important to find the absolute best care, so that the voices hopefully will at least be minimized, but hopefully go away. Okay, so I just want to give you guys a round of applause for kind of getting to that point in this meeting today, and we'll go ahead and get that appointment set up. But there's one thing that is bothering me. Okay, and since we're coming fairly close to the end of our time together, I want to make sure I actually understand you, Victoria, because there's something that you said that I think is really profound, and I just want to ask you what it is that you mean.
I just want to ask you, Victoria, I understand that you stated that you've been to hell and you want to go to heaven. Can you just explain to me what do you mean by that?
A lot of bad things have happened, and they're not my fault. And I don't know why they happen, but I don't deserve it, and I want my son, he and I could be good for one another, and I wanna live with him and with my uncle and just raise him, you know? So he doesn't have, I named him after the movie, because I wanted him to have, I don't want him to have my life. I can make it better. I know how to make it better. I don't want him to have my life. I don't want him to be like my cousins, you know? Dead. I don't want to be dead either.
I'm getting stumped again. I don't know, ladies like today. Where'd she go?
Carlito's Way?
Carlito's
Who's
way.
gangster? What movie? Remember the story.
There is more to it.
That she wants her child back. She wants
Told
to,
you her vision.
her vision, happiness, a future, right.
That's right.
And
So
that-
put it in the, put it future
Paraphrase.
oriented.
Okay. I see that you, what you're saying is that you want to get better, you want to feel better, you want to do the things that your uncle wants you to do, you want to become a productive citizen.
Oh, wait, wait,
Oh,
wait.
I'm sorry, I'm interpreting. Okay.
Say, thanks for
You want
sharing.
me
Thanks for sharing.
Thanks for sharing.
I do, right, I do. Thank you for sharing your vision of happiness.
That's it.
Okay.
That's all you gotta do.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we'll wrap it up.
Now,
Bring it on.
Wrap it up, wrap it up. I got a court to go to get to.
Put her in the mess. We have to start all over.
Yeah.
Section 2.
okay, you know what you gotta do?
Thank you for coming. See you later.
Bye-bye. When I see you, can I get my appointment card?
All right.
Put a little bit of context in the work you're gonna be doing together as you move forward. So she's got a psychiatric appointment, but you're her team. So what you want her to know is you're gonna be working on this vision of happiness. Okay? And what might you do next? Tomorrow,
Okay,
to get connected with it.
Victoria, I heard what you were saying, and we're gonna be working together. Me, you, Cheryl, and your uncle, regarding your plans for the happy life, which includes you seeing a psychiatrist, possibly getting medication, parenting classes, working on getting Carlito back into your home, and also the educational component, alternative school, to help you complete your happy life.
What about school? They're gonna put me, they're gonna stop me from getting into parenting classes?
No, we're not gonna allow that to happen. We're working together, you know.
Snap. You stronger than her. She says maybe, you say yeah.
Okay, so now you have an opportunity, okay? So think creatively. What do you want her doing tonight in service of her vision of happiness? How do you want her to spend her time for?
Victoria, when you leave here, tell me one thing that you're gonna do when you go home that's gonna make you happy.
Oh, well,
Oh, besides you.
I thought you were a couple of blunts. Maybe sit on the corner and see what happens. I'm 16. What do you think I'm gonna do?
you want her doing something between now and the time that she sees you again that's helping her move, doing her work closer to her vision. Okay, so what could she actually be doing with these guys? Without the school in the middle of it, without anybody else, what can they be doing over the next week before they see you again?
Okay. it's gonna take a week before we, get back together, so within that time span, you know, when you go home with your uncle, would it be difficult for you and your uncle to sit down and start really communicating with each other about where we go from here? As it relate to your happy goal life, your goals for a happy life?
And the answer is yes.
I need to work on my crazy look. Really?
Okay, let me help you out.
Okay.
Okay, and then I'll
Maybe
toss
dig
it back
for
to you.
something that she's done in
Okay.
the past.
So this is extemporaneous, okay? So here's the situation, guys, and I really appreciate you guys coming in today because I think we made a tremendous amount of progress here. So we have it all lined up about the psychiatric visit, and we're gonna look at medications. I think that's a very big positive step to figure this out. We're gonna talk to the psychiatrist about the influence of the substance use on the hearing the voices, so we can kind of sort that out. But what I want to think about with you guys right now is between now and the next time that you come, which is about a week, let's see if we can do some stuff that feels good in the right direction. That's all about Victoria's vision of happiness, okay? So I want to brainstorm with you for a second about things that we can do to reconnect to the things that worked before, okay? Things that don't require anybody else to do, but we can do them ourselves. Okay, and I would like for you guys to spend the week trying to do some of those things so that you're able to kind of feel like you're moving in the right direction. Okay, so I've got some thoughts, but I know you guys probably have thoughts as well. So would you like to start or would you like me to start?
Can I go to work with you? I can clean. Let me do that before. It'll keep me busy.
That's a good idea.
Okay, so that's one. So I'm gonna write this down on our 1-week plan here. So how many times do you think Victoria can go to work with you,
Weekends
Jean?
only, okay?
I'll take let me think about it, but I'll tell you by tomorrow morning.
Okay,
Okay.
so we'll shoot for some time for Jean and Victoria to be together at work. Victoria can work on her cleaning, because we know that that's helpful to her to keep her while she's working away, right? So would you guys be okay with doing something that has to do with maybe pulling out some of the stuff you were working on in the parenting class? Maybe you and Cheryl could work on some of that together.
I still have the book.
You still have the book? Cheryl, would you be willing to meet with Victoria a couple of times and maybe you guys could go over some of the stuff in the book that was most interesting?
Sure.
Okay, very good. And Victoria, let me ask you this. Do you think between now and the time that you come back that that you're going to be able to talk with Cheryl and your Uncle Gene if you're feeling like things are going backwards on you?
I can call Cheryl if she doesn't mind.
Okay, that's a good plan. That
Yeah.
seems to work. Okay, and Jean, when she calls Cheryl, the thing to recognize is that this is a part of the plan, okay? So talking to Cheryl is a very, very good thing to kind of figure out what to do. Okay, very good. Well, I think we have a little bit of stuff in play here. Okay, now we have to figure out what to do with the school. Okay, what do you think we ought to do? The school you actually just got into the conflict with.
I guess I have to go back and talk to them.
That's a very, very mature thing to say, okay? Do you need help doing that?
Yeah.
Yeah, Cheryl's kind of shaking her head that maybe that's probably something that is probably worth sitting with Cheryl and your uncle and thinking about how to actually approach that, because it's pretty important. Okay, whether you actually wind up going back to that school or not, that's a very, very good thing to do in your life, is to go back and repair things in a way that actually means something to you. So I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you all. Okay? So next time, about a week from now? Okay. Oh, one last question.
I was waiting for
I'm saving it right for the very end, right for the very end. Okay. One last question, okay? And I will leave this, Victoria, for you to kind of I'm gonna take you kind of on your word, but I know that in the moment here, you're kind of on the spot. But here's what I would hope for you. I would hope that you would be able to do all of the things that we're talking about that are very much in the right direction for you moving to getting Carlito back, and be able to make it through the whole week without smoking any marijuana at all. Okay, the thing that I don't know is if that would be difficult for you or not.
How long before I get my meds?
Okay, let's get the appointment scheduled with a psychiatrist for tomorrow.
'Cause the last time it took like 3 weeks.
Okay. Let's see if we can get the appointment for tomorrow, see if we can get some meds figured out. If you get your meds, though, here's the thing, is they probably won't work right away.
I know.
Okay.
It said last time it'd take like 3 weeks or 4 weeks or
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah. So do you think it's possible, do you think you're able to go for 1 week without using any marijuana? That sounds like it might be hard. How about 1 day?
Yeah, I can do 1 day.
So let's do this day by day then, okay? So here's what I'd like you guys to do. Because Jean, this is harder than either you or I might imagine for Victoria, okay? So let's do this day by day. Let's say each day, okay, what I'd like for you to do, Victoria, is I'd like you to call Cheryl and say, Cheryl, I'm gonna commit to 1 day this morning of not using marijuana, and I will call you if I feel like that I'm not gonna be able to do that, okay?
I'll text you.
Okay, text, okay? And Cheryl, if that feels like something that's becoming overwhelmingly difficult, you call me. Okay, and then we'll figure out what we do next, okay? Everybody's got to ask everybody for help here, okay? It's harder than it seems. Okay, so we have a little bit of a plan? Are you dying to ask her something?
Yeah, but chances are, I'd probably go a different angle. I'd say, are you comfortable giving your marijuana to Cheryl, and then when you want it, you can talk to Cheryl? 'Cause she's got marijuana.
She is, however.
I don't know if she wants to hold marijuana.
Hold my toes, man.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Okay. Now, here's the reason, okay? Now, she's 16, right? She knows how to get marijuana. She can get it in a flash. You're not supposed to be holding marijuana. You don't want it. You'd flush it, right?
And I wouldn't do that
And
to her.
You wouldn't do that to her. And what we're doing, this is called empowerment. Like, you have your real life in front of you, and you have real capacity to make decisions about how you want to exercise your real life. What we're recognizing is how hard it is to do what you actually want to do. And we're trying to build enough support for you so that you can actually be successful in making those empowered decisions. So I might ask you at this point, you know, if I'm really invested in it, do you think it would be easier for you if you went home and flushed the marijuana? And you would say it's not gonna make any difference, and I'm not gonna push it. I knew that before I asked you, right? So what I'm mostly invested in, can you actually call her when you need the help not to use? Okay, that's what I wanna see the commitment to be, and I want you close enough to her, day by day by day, so
Yeah.
that she can actually be successful.
Yeah.
And then we'll see where we are in a week.
Because otherwise, you're underestimating the anxiety that the person is feeling. I mean,
Exactly.
we use the term self-medicating for a reason. This is really, but you're not gonna be able to get me my meds for at least a week.
True.
Okay, so what am I supposed to do with that anxiety for a week?
Call her every day if you got it.
So that's what
That
she's
may
agreed
not
to?
be
I'm
enough.
missing something.
Okay.
I thought initially when we started, it was, Cheryl was feeling kind of overwhelmed and we
Because she was
losing,
doing it.
because she
Now-
was doing all
now,
that.
why
so-
are you feeling better at this point?
Because she's getting, oh, well.
She got help.
Plan. It's
So
a
she's
little, I feel better, I still feel a little bit.
But she's
Yes.
checking in and still doing that, so she's still with that role with even probably more responsibility and duties to oversee.
So why do you think I wouldn't call every day?
Why are you feeling better about this situation versus when you came in?
Well, to have both of them on the same page and working towards the same goal, you know, there might be some help there. I would also try and interject maybe
after a week, if we could look into some sponsor or something.
Exactly. Because the sponsor would be ideal to go and help her do
But
that
not
situation.
now.
Right.
Not
Not
now.
now. She's got a relationship with this woman, okay?
Yeah.
She's gonna bring that back to the table and say, hey, this week was pretty cool, okay? But I think it would be even better if we had more help.
Right.
Okay, at the next time,
She'll
rather
do
than.
that. But if you
responsible.
fracture this relationship and try to establish a new one at this point, she's having nothing to do with it.
Right. Nope.
Okay?
Right.
So we've got everybody kind of like in this 1 week plan.
Right.
A day-by-day check-in, a little bit of agreement. These guys are gonna connect a little bit. This is pretty cool. She's coming back for a visit tomorrow to do her psychiatric evaluation, see about some medications. She's primed to talk to her psychiatrist about the effect of marijuana on those medications. We've made a connection. Do you think this group is gonna come back and see us in a week?
Yes.
Absolutely they are.
And
Okay.
if she smokes marijuana twice during the week, is that terrible?
No, she's going to. Just make it clear.
Well,
that's
she
gonna
may
happen.
or may not.
She may or may not.
Yeah,
We
because
don't
if you
know.
come to me and say you're going to, then I'm like, okay, well, that's
I
a
wouldn't tell you that. I wouldn't tell you that.
Your body language is.
So
Tired.
I would,
I
I would.
reality. I know reality.
On that point, I might wrap up, not really knowing how hard this might be for you or not. I might wrap up with a punctuation mark that says, you know what, I think this is tight enough. I'm not really sure, because I don't know how hard it is for you to actually control your marijuana use. So here's the thing. If we get into trouble here and it feels like, this checking in and you call me and we're trying to figure something, even if you use again, that's not the issue, okay? The issue is making sure that we get enough help so that you can do what you actually want to do, okay? So I don't want you feeling like whether you use or not, it's success or failure. What I want you to do is commit to using the help you have right in front of you, okay? And if it's not enough, we'll step it up a bit. Okay. So if you were going to do something like this, you would want to break it into little tiny parts. And you would want your coaching not to be me walking up behind you and giving you the back rub, okay? You'd want your coaching to be very, very soft, because people are not quite in the same place that you guys are. You guys are great sports, so you did a great job.
So what was it like for the audience? What was it like for the participants? What was your experience? Anybody? Don't we agree that Stacy makes a fabulous psychotic adolescent?
I treated enough of them.
And Jean and Cheryl were like super in their
I
roles.
love you, Cheryl. Can I have your pen?
But what were you guys thinking?
But
People.
on top of, but just saying,
Yeah.
if that in the real world, we had a background sheet, we wouldn't really, so as hard as it is with this kind of stuff happens spontaneously, so you're coming in and you're really advocating like how it's really going.
That's right.
Yeah, and if you follow the steps, I mean, if you know what the job of the sequence is and you follow the steps, you see what happens. Even though we had it written down in front of us, it came out of the conversation. Okay, so even if you had nothing in front of you, you had no information, if you follow those steps, you build it so that people kind of bring their material to the table.
Probably, I mean, each step is challenging, just the thing, I guess, just as, just the idea of basic welcoming, remembering to say basic welcoming can be kind of challenging right at the beginning. But one of the things that's probably most difficult for folks, because we're so programmed backwards, is to go into that period of strength, keep going back to that period of strength, and working with a period of strength. Because you're always going to find it. So the thing that helps you to engage Victoria in this particular thing is you say, Victoria, you did something wrong. She's having one of her worst days ever. Punch the teacher, voices, marijuana, in trouble, everybody there, the big meeting, I'm on the spot. And the very first message after welcoming is, it's extremely cool that you want Carlito back. Validation of the goal, can't go wrong. Make the team. And then Victoria, you actually have been doing some things already to try to get Carlito back. Can you tell us about that? Okay. Whatever it was. In this instance, we know she had 3 months of amazing sobriety. And she said right at the beginning, it's hard. It was very hard, before she was ready to talk about the voices. And we say, you're a miracle. You know, I mean, we only have half an idea how hard it was, and we can tell how hard you were working to be successful. And if you go back to that every time, I mean, this is what I do, this is what Chris, every time you're sitting in the middle of that conversation feeling lost, you go back to that strength. Say, hey, you were already successful then. Let's find out more about it and what we can do to help you to be even more successful in the future. Okay? And, you know, in this particular thing, one of the things you discover, some of the things are so low-hanging. Her uncle had no idea how hard she was working to stay sober. I mean, to him, it looked like a simple thing. I told you to be sober, you're sober. And she's like, oh my God, you know, I'm hearing voices every damn day. I keep hoping they'll go away. My uncle doesn't want me to be on meds. I'm not supposed to be on meds anymore. I'm supposed to be fine. But nobody could tell.
Well, except for me.
Except for Cheryl.
Yeah. I was having to fight for her to say that she was working hard and doing everything that she could do.
Yeah.
And I brought it up more than once, that she was working hard. She was trying to do everything she could do.
Right, right, right. And I think you were feeling a little frustrated that people weren't picking up on that as much as you were hoping. Like, say more about how hard she was working and why it was so hard.
Like, she was working, she was
Right.
doing really well.
Right. So keeping that in mind, when in doubt, get everybody back to that period of strength, okay, is actually one of the most important messages. Good, you had your hand up. Yeah.
I had a hard time realizing that the uncle was not the bad person. And his attitude was like, oh, well, she's been doing pot and this and that, you know, which gives me, I like, oh, well, okay, but she's been trying. That was where I was trying to get at, but I didn't do a good job at it.
Right. No, I mean, that's a piece of work. Everybody's got something that floats around when you meet somebody. You make an assumption about where they're coming from. Yeah, and yeah, yeah. But everybody does it. Everybody does it. So, you know, if you just let him kind of, you know, say his piece for a moment, you know, here he is. He turns belly up, says, I love the girl. I'm trying to help her have the life she wants. I'm a busy man, but I'm trying to do the best I can. Help me, please. Okay, he's kind of lovable. Okay, right. Yeah.
I was going to ask if you could, you know, you had a process there, and you had, as you stopped and you talked about various principles to think about as you're doing this. I wonder if you could put that in writing for us.
It is kind of in the framework of doing the ILSA, but it's not as deliberate, like here's what each of these chairs' roles is. But it's kind of sort of there. But I could take a swing at it. I could take a swing at that.
We could do that.
Yeah.
Il-
An
il-
acronym?
in-
Yeah.
Integrated Longitudinal Strength-Based
Yeah.
Assessment, ILSA.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you think about, for those of you that went through, saw that, welcoming, okay? And the only difference is when we did that with a single person, but welcoming, okay? Engage people in telling something about their goals. Okay, so we're identifying, and Victoria put her happy life goal on the table, and then we kind of walked around what everybody else wanted help with. And then we tried to do some things that involved connecting empathically with them individually and turning them into a team. Okay, and when you're doing it individually, you're hearing enough of the story of each person neutrally so that, you know, you can be a team with each of them, with any person you're working with individually. And then when you're working with a family or a group, you try to create a sense of teamness between people. So you purposefully do things that promote connection, and you avoid doing things that are likely to create conflict. I mean, a lot of what Chris does watching this, and you guys in the audience, you know, may comment on this, you know, the reason to pull people out of rabbit holes is because when you do this a lot, and I'm sure in the audience you're sitting there screaming, don't say that thing, I know what's going to happen. You know, like when you're watching the monster movie or something, don't open that door, you know what's behind the door. You know, that kind of thing. Because, you know, when you've seen it enough, you know how easy it is to step into a piece of trouble with people. But we do it anyway. We step right in. And part of the idea is that you're actually, you know, when Chris says don't go and ask a whole bunch of questions, okay, just validate what people are saying. Don't point out the places where you know they'll have a chance to fight. Point out the thing around which you have a reasonable idea they'll get connected, like we're all here to be helpful to achieve the same goal. Okay? And then when you have a chance for violins, go for the damn violins. I mean, we have been trained to be so like objective, you know? Oh, no schmaltz, please, no tears, no heart, no emotion. Let's just move on to how long did you serve in the Marines, sir? You know, like, what? Let's, you know, go for it. You're actually trying to build a piece of connection right through this. And then you go into a period of strength. Just when you built a connection, you think time to go for problems, you go for a period of strength. What did you do that worked? How did it work? Why did it work? Did anybody know how hard you were working? You get a big round of applause for that success. Did anybody know why it screwed up? You probably weren't getting enough help. Probably not enough people knew what you were going through. Yep, yay, okay? Why do you do all that? Because the thing that is in your mind right at the beginning that you know is the hornet's nest, the way you get to it is by building strength, building strength, building strength, building strength, until you can put that hornet right out in the middle, and there's enough yummy stuff right around it so it isn't going to sting anybody.
So, you know, if you guys took I mean, this was videotaped. So you can take the videotape, watch it first. Goodness only knows what it's going to look like. I think I went like this several times. So watch it first and then see if there's any usefulness with your staff of to sit and watch it together and kind of think it through. And it would be kind of cool to have, like, take the tape and illustrate, you know, the job of each of the chairs, okay, so that people could kind of say, oh, I see that connection, I see that. So that's a great idea. So very cool. So does this come anywhere? I mean, is there anybody first of all, is there anybody who's doing team interviews with a family? Has anybody ever used this mechanism where people kind of do this in crisis sometimes? Okay. 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 Okay, okay. So maybe on rare occasion, you know, doing this kind of team thing. Do people and when you're doing the individual thing, are people sitting with the family unit? Are you doing like individual and family? Some are, okay. This, you can see the power in this, you know, because if you had Victoria all by herself, even the best of solutions, you'd still be scratching your head wondering whether you could implement them or not, because it actually takes a team to do some of these things.
The thing about this, I mean, we haven't talked that much about the importance of engaging families, but obviously when you're working with kids and teenagers, families and caregivers are critical. But even when you're working with adults, you know, in this scenario, we can do two things that can either make our life easy or hard. And of course, as we've been joking about all day, you know, you guys have a tendency to find the thing to do to make everything harder, you know, because that's what we do. But we could get in it with the uncle, get him all pissed off so that he can fight with us and not do the thing that's going to make life easier for Victoria. And if we succeed at that, which probably most of us could get Gene really pissed off so he would leave in a huff within 5 minutes. All of us don't need special training on how to do that. You know, Gene, you're a jerk, you know, you don't really understand Victoria enough. You haven't been helping her. What? You people are idiots. No, it's your fault that she's not doing well. So out he goes. She doesn't get the medicine she needs. She gets kicked out of school. Carlito gets to go in foster care, so we can work with him again in 18, 10, 15 years, okay? So he'll come back in the system, which is good because we need more business because we don't have enough resources. She'll get kicked out of school. She'll have to go into special ed. She'll probably beat somebody else up even more, so she'll get hospitalized, and then, it'll be a lot of fun. Or all he has to do is agree to be supportive, one sentence, and everybody can calm down, and she can start moving in the right direction.
So-
It's powerful
Yeah.
to build those partnerships. And everything sort of comes from that strength-based perspective.
So take this conversation, okay, you have enough out of this conversation to translate it into a stage match treatment plan. Okay, the span of that treatment plan is how long? That's a 1-week plan, okay? If you go any further in that plan, you're making it up, okay? So we have an agreement, we had an agreement here as the team and the family that we would have 1 week's worth of work, right? So our plan should cover that 1 week. You can illustrate, if you write an integrated treatment plan, you can illustrate what it is that each of the parties is trying to achieve. Okay, so Cheryl, as a party in this relationship, is trying to figure out how to have Victoria have more natural supports so she doesn't rely so heavily on her. Okay, Victoria's trying to figure out how to move towards her vision of happiness, which was like such and such. Jean's trying to figure out the right approach to help Victoria actually be successful in that and to get organized and be more, have more capacity to actually help her. Okay,
Right.
You can take each member and put out their target. Okay, and then the thing that you write down inside the interventions are lined up based on where they are with the various issues that kind of come into play. So it's different than saying, okay, so what we're going to write down there is marijuana use. Issue number 1, marijuana use. Issue number 2, psychosis. Issue number 3. I mean, that just feels, defunct. Okay, so if you wrote it, for example, if you said something on that plan like, Victoria is this, really cool kid who's struggling mightily with things, including auditory hallucinations and marijuana use, and trying to figure out how to get her kid back and trying to figure out how to work with her uncle to be successful in life, and uses her case manager effectively, but probably too much because she has a lack of social, supports to be more self-sufficient with that. What we're working on is helping Victoria and her team figure out how to manage her voices, how to figure out how to manage the marijuana use. And we're going to be on a very short-term plan, building help asking skills immediately, and then do some crisis resolution with the school, which Victoria has agreed to work with her uncle and her caseworker to figure out how to go back and make amends in that process.
Right. And to
Then
let
you
the
gotta-
school know
yeah.
she's getting some help, right? So they're more willing to take her back.
Right.
Yeah, and give her a note, and off she goes.
And that's what a treatment plan would look
So,
like.
so let me, because we have to, what we'd like to do is to let you guys out early, okay? Because we went through the break, okay? So everybody looked up and smiled at me when I said, let you out early, okay? Yay, all right. So that gives us just 10 minutes to wrap up. And I wanted to kind of see if we can come in full circle for the day. Part of the theme about doing this kind of clinical work is although the learning is hard, the point is not to make the work harder, it's to make the work easier. Okay? I mean, part of what I was demonstrating when I was just talking earlier is that by learning to work in this mode, you actually stay out of struggles, you reduce the need for higher levels of care. You make it easier for you to help people in smaller steps that feel less burdensome. If we decided that Victoria had to go get sober and we had to find another place to send her and she didn't want to go and then we couldn't find the resource, we would be going down a whole unnecessary path. Okay? And, there's all kinds of ways that, you guys know back home that people do that all the time. and then come out the other side saying, oh my God, we're so busy and we don't have enough resources. Oh, let's find another case to make even harder. Okay? So this all kind of comes together. And part of the thing that we're advocating for, and we actually need your help as change agents, is moving into this year. Because what we're seeing is tomorrow for us is an important planning day for thinking about how to move this whole process forward in the system. And so we're meeting with the senior partners, the executive partners, and we need to have some idea of things that you guys want, that you're standing ready to be working with them, and you would like some piece of revitalization to be in the business of helping to figure things out with them. And we're going to be sitting with the core implementation team with your change agent reps, okay, to be figuring out some strategies to go. And we've been kind of giving out the message that this process of changing the world that you signed on to is not just the co-occurring thing. It's like there's lots of stuff happening in the system where people are busily being in the retooling business. The MCPNs are trying to retool. The agency's trying to retool. The coordinating agencies are busy doing this recovery-oriented system of care thing. There's a lot of stuff that's going on trying to figure out how to improve care to very complex people within limited resources. And everything that we've been working with you on and helping you guys to become is a foundation for that process. So, one of the things I've been thinking is, if folks called on, if the leadership people were to say, hey, we're trying to retool the system within limited resources, are the change agents people that can help us? What would the answer be? You're nodding like Victoria. You think so? But you need to be called upon, and you need to be ready to respond. See what I'm saying? So you need to be called upon, like we need an organized piece of input from change agents. For example, people might say, hey, Lorraine might say, Lorraine just walked in. We might say, as we're rolling out this new thing with the GR stuff, we're really not wanting GR people to be unwelcomed and fall through the cracks. And we need a whole bunch of really committed and creative people out there thinking about cool ways of designing services and helping us to figure some things out, because we're still figuring this out as we go. It's not a deal. Change agents, would you want to help us with that? Absolutely. Okay, good. Thank you for saying it out loud, okay? I thought I was dealing with a room full of Victorias, like the most we can do is nod, because we're all hearing voices, Okay, and we are in the creativity business. We're willing not only to come together and sit at the table with leadership to provide ideas, we're actually positioned to be bringing the message out into our organizations, to be talking it up with people out there, because we're already doing that. That's what we do, right? Wrong, right? Yes? So, yeah, go ahead.
When you talked about this earlier, the thought came to my mind is that we really don't understand who these folks are. In some agencies, they have a list. For example, our DD program at NSO has a list of everybody who would be impacted. But when I asked the question of the program director.
Oh, you mean the list of the uninsured people, the GR people?
Right,
Yeah,
who are
yeah.
going to be impacted by this. Well, who are these people? We really couldn't answer the question of who are they?
Right.
And my second question is, why aren't they in Medicaid? Is it because they had never applied? Is it because they applied and didn't do the right song and dance when they were in the judge's office? Is it that they don't qualify? We have no idea. And so I think we need to get a list, so to speak, within the agencies and look at these cases very closely and find out who are these people. and kind of start putting some categories together, because the folks who qualified just didn't do the right song and dance at DHS, well, we get them over there to do the right song and dance. The folks who don't qualify, what's kind of going on, who are they, you know, have we just thrown services at them and just let them go, you know, because we could, well, now we can, and how are we gonna work with them? You know, is their acuity particularly high, and therefore they should be going to DHS and doing this song and dance? You know, but we didn't know because we just threw services at them and didn't pay any attention.
Right.
So we need to do some like data mining, I guess, that's what they call it, yeah.
Well, and in addition, just to make it clear, this is not just a mental health issue.
No.
You know, where a whole lot of uninsured people tend to camp out is in AOD services. Sometimes, you know, because they're not Medicaid eligible to begin with, or they've been drinking and drugging too long, too consistently to ever figure out if they were Medicaid eligible. And right now, they're in a residential substance program where they couldn't bill Medicaid anyway, and they need access to some kind of mental health service, whether it's medication or piece of crisis. And you don't want, I mean, we're in a partnership here across the whole system, and in the quality improvement customer business, we don't want anybody to be falling through the cracks, whether it's for the insurance reason or not. So it's not just like, let's just target the uninsured. Let's look at everybody, okay? Let's represent everybody who might fall through the cracks because the system is not as welcoming as it could be. This is the moment. You know, you guys have been thinking about this for a long time. And there's lots of things to be thinking about. Here's the thing you can count on. Your job is not to come to the table knowing the answer. Okay, in a quality improvement team, and you experience this a little bit in the exercise, the thing that's interesting is everybody at the table has a different perspective. And as brilliant as you think you might be, somebody else in the room will have a different set of ideas than you. And the thing that most systems miss is having enough different voices with a representative perspective at the table that are representing from a customer focus. Systems are great at having voices advocating for their own self-interest. You know, let's bring all the unions together and let's, you know, all of that. But to have lots of different perspectives all reflecting the customer, including the customers, support staff, clinicians, people who are change agents who actually are on the front line, sitting with CEOs, sitting with people from the agency and the funder, everybody sitting together, that's where you get a much better perspective. Because somebody says, well, did you think about this? Did you consider that? We're doing this in our agency. Okay? And there's no other way for this to be found out in an organized way without that kind of conversation. Okay? So this is your moment. Okay, are you ready? Are you ready? Okay. I don't want to tell everybody you're ready and then say, no, we're not ready. We only said that because Minkoff and Klein made us say that, you know, because we're tyrannical zealots who, you know. Okay, gang.
All right, you guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. What do we?